And so my little 101 was that I did this at the beginning of, I think, the 2017. I did a little sort of a tip, and I try to be careful in the way I present it, because I don't want it to be like, you should do this, you do this, you do that, because you all do your own way. So what I found really helpful, because I'm naturally really organised, and as soon as I came into the unit, I had a complete filing system. Like I love Officeworks, and I love stationery, and I love highlighters and files and digital filing and stuff. So you're going to get loads of information coming in. I don't know if you're people that like to print. I like to hard copy read things on the sofa, because my eyes on the screen, and then you're on the sofa and your laptop's plugged in. So I like to print everything and have a highlighter and just have it in my hands. And because when I handwrite notes, that's how I learn. It's like I read things on the screen and it doesn't maybe have the same effect. So I print everything and I hand write notes and I'll highlight. So just for example, this isn't telling you what you do. For me, I had pink highlighter for stuff that I absolutely just loved. It didn't have to come under any subject. So anything that was pink was something that I was most likely going to quote or throw into conversation or have a think about and go and read. Blue highlighter was just statistical stuff that is probably going to come in handy. Like the more dry, like I'm not a number, I don't deal very well with numbers, so everything's in blue is stuff that I might want to reference the actual figures. So it's blue was statistical stuff. Yellow was, this is probably in any challenge question or an assessment. Yellow is like highlighted your general, you should probably, I probably need to remember this, like was my yellow. And then that's an example of the kind. So when I open up an article and I know I'm looking for something that I just wanted to show a friend, I go for pink because it's just something I love. Like it'd be like a Brené Brown quote or something. Yellow is stuff I might want to put in a speech, and blue is just stuff just so I can find a statistic, you know, super easily. And then just have everything in tabs. So because by the time I got to workshop 10, we all got to workshop 10, someone came to me and said, I had 2 hours set aside to prep my text analysis, and I spent an hour and 20 minutes and nothing happened, nothing fruitful came in. I said, what went wrong? It doesn't matter, you won't have wasted time just because you wrote something you don't want to use. They're like, no, I couldn't find, like I knew there was a quote, and I knew it was in the 147 massive summaries text that we got, and I thought it was on the laptop, but then I realized it was the one that I printed, but then I didn't know where it had it, and then when I opened the file, I also hadn't highlighted, and then I spent 10 minutes skim reading it, but I skim read it so fast that it didn't jump out, so then I had to read the whole 27 pages to find, and it was like an hour and 28, and I only had 2 hours to do my study that day. So that's just an example. True story, so I guess, me being the nerd all my life, I finally felt like, yeah, it's good to be like that organised. People take the mick out of me everywhere I go, but my other slide, just to hone that point, and you might do extra stuff. I did everything I heard Lynn say, I was scribbling down and went off and wrote my extra stuff. Still, some of that stuff, no idea. I'm permanently confused. No, thanks, Lynn. I've tried. I wrote all that stuff, and that was one shot. There was 10 where I tried on my computer to organise where my brain should go. So I'm just showing you this is what happens. And now I live like that. Because it's like a brain, it hemorrhages, and sometimes it comes out where it shouldn't, and I'm working on that. But I still loved it. I've loved it. So I'm finishing. I don't want to go over time because I could just talk over. I also had it's funny what you were saying about power. I was thinking influence as well, because influence I prefer as a word to power, because influence kind of sounds a bit fun. But it is power, so you absolutely, we all are in this world where we have to deal with power at some point. And so I had, that was my presentation. So I had this slide on privilege and opportunity, and I decided to leave it blank because I don't think anyone should tell you why you're, it doesn't work that way. It's not effective if someone tells you, oh, you're fortunate because you have a voice, because I think that needs to come from you. Like, I can't sit here and say, you're so fortunate with this, because you own that, and I think when you self-derive, like through this unit, and even now, in my, 5th year, I think of new ways that I'm privileged and unfortunate, and because that's come from me, and I have to be aware and acknowledge it, and then I own it. So I left that slide blank, because I think we all have privilege and opportunity in some respect. And yeah, just kind of reflecting, it's funny that you were doing a recap on power, so I didn't know. Okay, so my point on the organisation though, wow, these slides slightly in the wrong order, and I'm sitting here saying how organised I was, and the slide has slipped out of its place, so I'm just gonna, nightmares tonight now that this has happened to me. It can mitigate your stress. I say it can mitigate stress because it might not for you, but it did for me because I get really stressed if I'm not, or I find if I'm disorganised, it causes me stress, so that's me. I definitely think it does provide more time for you, like who you are, hence the story of the person wasting an hour and 20 minutes. And it can just be helpful long term because you might want to go on and do more stuff, so I can still now go in my office onto my laptop and pull out the exact article, as long as I just remember the author, it's all there, so I've downloaded everything. And I'm going to finish my owner. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm just going to get the story. The practicum, because this is where people go, oh my god. I would just say cling to the rubric, and I could do the really patronising, have the intro, body, conclusion. You probably all, I don't want to sound like I'm saying really obvious stuff, but I've done quite a lot of speaking. And I learned from someone a really simple 3-part thing that you do on any sort of speech or presentation when you're trying to get a point across, which just sounds more interesting than the intro, discussion, body, conclusion, and synopsis and all that stuff, is this one. Tell them what you're going to tell them, you tell them what you want to tell them, and you tell them what you told them. And that probably sounds really reductive, really patronising, but it really works. So I'm just going to say that because I actually just think that's the most helpful thing in a basic oral presentation is you tell them what's about to happen, what you can tell them, you do it, and then you conclude, and everyone remembers your presentation. So it does seem to work. There's a lot of famous speakers that kind of do it on that thing. Utilise a topic or subject matter that you're most confident with. You don't have to. Well, you might want to really challenge yourself, but if you're in a position where you really need to graduate and you're in a position, you can just go with your absolute strength area, and that's a perfectly good decision. So, yeah, that's what I do, just always go to my strengths and rehearse. And I finish. I didn't want to spend a huge chunk of time on text analysis because I thought maybe I'd just give you sort of the PowerPoint with these 3 main slides, and you can sort of look at that with the rubric. These were the only 3 things that I thought for me that really helped me. Be mindful that you might start out going, I'm just going to make this to shreds if I have a perfect conclusion. And I heard someone talking a couple of years ago about beginner's mind, and I fell in love with that. You probably know all about beginner's mind, so I just, so go in with that. I'm going to do a text analysis. I think I'm going to hate it and say all these things, but actually just go in with, is there anything good in here? Is it in, and not commit to a certain thing. You don't have to commit to being total agreement or opposition with the text. Strong analysis of thoroughly explorative and with comprehensive conclusions. Looking back, if I could do it all over again, I probably would do my text analysis slightly differently. So I guess I'm speaking retrospectively, like mine was okay. It was one of my highest scoring pieces. But I've looked back at mine recently in preparation for this and gone, yeah, I'd love to do that again. And do even more of this. And just be mindful the material you want to cite to support your analysis isn't necessarily evidence either, because you can slip into that, I'm going to quote what so-and-so said and this and that, and then I'm right. My opinion is, like, I'm ripping this. But I'm speaking really colloquially, word, tonight. particular reasons. But yeah, just because you reference something that may not actually be evidence, it might just be someone else's opinion. So just don't maybe be mindful that you might fall into that. So I think just, what did I say there? Just, yeah, have this awareness. It doesn't necessarily mean that your perspective you want to present as a critique is factual. It's your perspective, I guess. So just showing awareness of that and other possible contexts and assumptions behind you're referencing. So I guess if you can say things like, I feel this way because of this, and somebody else has actually said that this is because of that, but there's some merit here because depending on your context, it might be because of this, and you know, like, not just this is wrong because of this and so on, so said it too. So kind of, that's quite easy to do, right? We all do that every day, right? You know, we all critique, so I guess, sorry. That did not go as smoothly as I planned, but I am also, just to be completely transparent and out there, coming off all of my medication, so I'm gabbling. And I'm aware that I'm gabbling, and I'm working on it, and I'll try not to do that. I think like that anyway, but normally I have an inside voice and an outside voice, and now it's all just loud gabbling. So this is it's not Death by PowerPoint. A lot of it's just pictures, and some of them are just funny because I wanted to sort of have some humour in this too. I did do a disclaimer there. But you'd probably like me to make sense to you, but I'm not sure that I do always make sense, but that's part of the journey. I certainly found that I may not have been as challenged emotionally in the same way as some people with the content, and maybe challenged in the same way. I don't know why that is. I think on some things I just may have the emotional range of a stapler. But very challenged in other ways with my level of frustration then and anger, where I just then became really very annoyed at the system that I had been trapped in for so long and blinded by a few things. Yeah, that was my tussle. I think I did okay with, you know, study load and stress and emotions sort of generally. I didn't get too upset by things. I just came out like, right, well, I just want to change all the stuff that I now think is really wrong. So it's kind of, it fueled me like that. So I feel it really gave me what I came in looking for and what I really needed. Because I came in with an instinct that things weren't right. I had a view of some of this stuff, but I didn't really know what it was. I had that feeling that I knew there was something I didn't know, but because I don't know exactly what it is that I don't know what I'm missing, and I don't know if that makes sense. This is hence why this slide. So I'm trying to explain that I had this instinct I wanted to do, and I came out with exactly what I wanted. It's like now I can actually have access to the information that I was wanting. I can reference it. I can mention things in the conversations that I'm already having with people, but I can actually back up, like, I'm not the only person that feels this way. People actually write about this stuff. And then send a follow-up email. This is this is the reference that I'm talking about. So that just helped me do things that I was already doing, but on a much more proper level. Thank you, Lynn, because Lynn did such a great job of supporting, just by encouraging me to keep going. So, and I think, and I did have some issues during my unit. I fell pregnant, and that wasn't planned. And yes, you think that would be a wonderful time for me. There was just a lot of problems there. And so, like many things in life, I had a plan. I came in with a plan. And then you probably, this is like a really famous slide. So you're all going to come in thinking, right, I have this plan, study hard and do this and do that. It won't look like anything of what you've got in your head, maybe. It's what I'm thinking. It might not look like what you have in your head. But that's beautiful. On the right, I actually think that's more beautiful. I mean, it's, who just wants to do this perfect thing? So that was my experience, a mixed bag, but it really gave me a great deal of help personally and professionally. And I think it's the only learning experience that I've had facilitated anywhere that kind of excelled me on both in a parallel, like a really comprehensive experience. And it made me think in ways that I hadn't before, that I perhaps maybe didn't know how to think because I didn't have the material to look at and think about. I had all my lived expertise and sort of experiences, but might not have had the information to apply that to and know how I felt about it. So it was great. So I learned to think. I learned about how I think and why I think. That might not make sense to you, but it makes sense to me. And I wanted to leave with, I found this, and you might like this if you've seen this. The path isn't a straight line, it's a spiral. So you just go round and you continually come back to things you thought you understood to see deeper truths. And that's why I wanted to be involved in another Lee unit, because it was supposed to be helping you, helping, but I always feel like I'm studying it again. Well, I just want to be a student again, really, and do an assessment